What's good, YouTube? It's your man MARRETA with another episode of Muscle and Manhood. Welcome back. Now, if you haven't watched the video, want to know her truth? Ask her mouth. You need to go and check that out. After you've watched that video, you'll understand what I'm building on, okay? Because I'm kind of building on that video. So, the topic of this video is actions speak louder than words. You've heard that expression. I know you have. Everybody's heard that expression. Is it true though? So in the last video, I brought out the fact that your mouth is connected to your heart. Okay? So your mouth is connected to your heart. Your heart expresses itself verbally. It boils over whenever it's in the throes of emotion, meaning you're very happy, very sad, any emotions you can think of. That's most likely a time that you're going to express the truth about how you feel about almost any given subject, okay? You're more susceptible to verbally express the truth whenever you're in the throes of emotion and you're around someone who you're familiar with. You don't even have to like them. You just need to be familiar with them. And in the last video, I gave this information, was directing it towards men. Now, this really applies to everyone, okay, males and females. Except the difference is that females, this is their modality, okay? They are emotional creatures. When they're healthy, they're emotional creatures. Did you hear that, man? Did you hear that, Migto? Did you hear that, Migto? When women are healthy, they're emotional. Did you hear that? Men going their own way. So you guys keep thinking that these women are broken. They're not broken. It's just that you're not coming correct. You're not creating the kind of environment. Okay? The world is an environment. Your neighborhood, your house, your car, wherever you interact, in the bedroom, wherever you interact with your woman. Well, those of you who are Migto don't have one. You chose not to, right? But you don't have to be that way. You don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay there, Migto. You can move through it. You can move through it. Migto is not a destination. It's a passageway. If you change your cause, you're going to change your effect. But I digress for my Migto listeners, okay? For those men out there looking for genuine help so that they can bounce back alpha. Not like the wolf, but like the lion. Oh, you got to watch some of my videos if you don't know anything I'm talking about. So, talked about the heart, talked about the mouth. Today we're going to talk about the actions, the behavior. Now, I only touched on body language just a little bit. Just a little bit. Because your body language actually speaks more than your mouth does. Your mouth kind of is the leader. And here's something I want you to get from this, okay? I like to give you guys nuggets of wisdom if I can, the things I've learned. Self-talk is important. You can't be saying negative things to yourself. If you're the type of guy that says, damn, I'm so stupid. What? I'm an idiot. What? You don't say things like that out loud to yourself. You don't say things like that in here either. But see, the problem is that it's not always your voice in here. You can have some demons up in there. You can have some memories of people saying things to you up in that temple of yours. So, whatever you think about, you bring about. And that's not just a saying, it's true. Christians call it faith. I'm heading someplace with this. Stay with me. So, you got to get control over the dialogue in your head, your inner gang. And recognize that all the voices you hear, while they are individual voices, they're not all you. Got that? Now remember, these same voices are playing in a female's head. And for them, because they're social creatures, they're more social, way more social than men. You can't even imagine how many voices are in women's heads. You can't imagine it unless you're a woman. Can I get an amen, women? The point I'm trying to make, guys, is this. Like in the last video, I said you're males. Females are different than males. And when it comes to expression, we express differently whenever we're in our masculine core and women are in their feminine core. And it should be that way. The problem happens is whenever we keep trying to behave like the opposite sex so that we can bridge the confusion. But it's the confusion, it's the difference, it's the confusion. It's not really confusion per se, but it is the difference, right? Because a lot of times when people are trying to communicate, they will try to mirror the other person. That's the body language. In fact, they teach you this in sales. They say if the person leans forward, you lean forward. If they lean to their right, you kind of lean to your left or to your right too. You know, you take cues from the person you're trying to sell to. Now, whenever you're involved in a relationship, this same kind of game starts to happen. But because women tend to be more emotional and they can be more dramatic, when men try to fix their problems without these women's permission, they take offense. Because women are adults. And unless they understand submission as being a good thing, which we know they haven't been taught to, we know they haven't been culturally conditioned to, recognize that submission is not always a bad thing. It's not something to always be fought. If you ever watch it, now this is not to suggest that women or men or people are like dogs. It is just an analogy. If you ever watch a dog that's well trained with its owner, they're both happy people. The dog is a happy people and an owner is a happy people. Whenever a dog is not obedient, he's unhappy and the master is unhappy. I teach men to be masters of their home because if you really want a real woman, she will not love you if she doesn't respect you. And she won't respect you unless you assert yourself, not with threat of force, but with the charisma of self-control, a clear purpose, being about your own business, which makes you attractive to other females and men too. Some of them in a sexual way, but what I mean by and men too, I mean in a way of leadership and command. Women are looking to see how you can command resources. That's the way they're made, yo. Now, you may make a value judgment and say, you know what, a woman should be this way or that way. But if you're trying to make a woman's characteristics like a male characteristic, maybe you might want to date a man. If you start to respect, and I don't mean that yeah, I did. I meant to be facetious. Okay? Because guys are out there bitching and complaining because they don't understand that women can be inherently difficult. But yet they live in a world where they can observe this, that this is their natural state. And instead of them manning up, they start to become emotional with them. Not that men aren't emotional. Men are just as emotional as women, but they don't. They are designed, by the way, to really, I'm going to get deep with it here, a little spiritual with it here, but they're designed to tap into the Creator and take their problems there. Women are designed to come under the authority of the man. So a man is out of order whenever he's bitching and complaining to his woman. He's showing weakness because he's showing that there's not someone in authority over him that he needs to go to. What that means is that's a break. That's a break of hierarchy and a break of chain of command. Now, what does this have to do with action? Well, it's all about action because everything else is your spiritual condition. Your spirit has to do with your mind and your thinking. So, like the story in the Bible with Esau, whenever he gave up his birthright for a pot of soup, it was a pot of lentils, I know, pot of lentils stew or something. Well, the Most High God in the scriptures didn't like that because he got emotional over some food and gave up his inheritance or a portion of his inheritance. He had a birthright and he had a blessing coming his way. gave it up. He gave up his birthright as a firstborn for some food. He took a coursive action because he was hungry. Now, a lot of you guys out there are hungry for love. We all are. One of the chief aspirations in life is love. This is the problem with MGTOW. Love is not an optional thing. It's a necessity. It's like food, water, air, sunshine, shelter. If a person doesn't get love, they begin to die. Do you understand that? We need physical interaction with other people. And in a healthy sense, men need physical, sexual interaction with women. Do you understand that? Do you get that? So, I'm not saying that you can't have a healthy life without sexual interaction with the opposite sex. But what I am saying is that is the way men tend to express love. Yeah, they can express lust too, but they express love through that sexual intercourse. See, women don't give you sex, men give women sex, because how can the fluid give the cup something? Or excuse me, how can a cup give the fluid something? The woman is a receiver. So the male is the one doing the giving. But you see how the world flips everything upside down. It's like the woman is giving the sex. She's not giving anything. She's receiving the sex. The woman's not giving the baby. She's receiving the semen. And then she births the baby that was put in her in the first place. So when the mouth speaks and you hear women speak and you hear your own self speak, you're reinforcing in the ether, what we call the world. Some people call it the matrix. You're reinforcing a belief. And what you believe, you will be living. What you believe, you will be living. Even if it's only in your imagination. If you start to believe that your girlfriend is cheating on you, every guy, if her head just turns in the direction of a guy, you'll think that she's flirting or something like that. This is the way it works. In your world, your inner beliefs, your inner thoughts are going to create an outward construct. In the computer world, it's called hypertext markup language or JavaScript. And all that text, all that stuff, you go on like a desktop computer and go under view source, and you'll see all this script, all this writing behind the image, behind the website. And what all that writing is a bunch of code. And that code connects to folders and files of images that upload whenever you navigate on the screen. Which world is the real world? Is the actual website the real world or the JavaScript? Both. Both are real, and there can be a communication going both ways. But the foundation is the JavaScript, the unseen. So the unseen world is the real world. But there's a parallel. As in the natural, so there is in the spiritual. In the spiritual, so there is in the natural. Spirit has to do with your thinking. So there needs to be a natural expression or outward expression of your inward condition. So your emotions, right? When you emote or you express, not impress, but express, right? When you express, you're pushing out your own thoughts, desires, wants, needs. You're communicating your necessities or your perceived necessity. And that's the problem, is men haven't quite sorted out these days because they haven't been taught to, or they haven't been caught to, because we learn more by observation than we do by verbal teaching. So being around men, we get to see, being around real men, we get to see how they walk, talk, and behave. And we're more likely to imitate that and emulate that whenever we see the benefits of it. The problem is that society's become so antisocial in one sense and extremely social in a virtual sense. So in a natural sense, they're antisocial. But in a artificial sense or a virtual sense, we're more social than we've ever been. But how can you look at me through this computer screen and get the full gist of it, the full gist of my affect? You only get a part of it, and it's useful. It's very useful. Otherwise, television wouldn't have been effectively conditioning us for the last 50, 60 years as a human race. But it's not as effective as a real one-on-one personal experience. So what I wanted to get across to you, I got a lot of information in this video, and it's all useful if you know how to apply it. The major way to apply the information in this video is to recognize that dialogue between what's going on in your head, what comes out of your mouth, and what you do, and what you watch other people do as a result of the things you say, think, express through your body language. That there's a conversation happening, okay? And if you're around people who are giving you positive reinforcement, and you're around people who are healthy in their gender, right? If they're healthy and well seated in their masculinity and femininity, then you're going to get the best cues for how to interact with males and females. But if you're around men who have this kind of gray area about what masculinity is, or women who have this gray area about what femininity is and how to conduct ourselves, you will emulate that type of behavior, because we all are affected and infected by our environment. So it's important to stop listening to everything that people say, because while, I know that sounds like a contradiction to my last video, but here's what I mean by that. After you've listened to what people say, then you need to watch for their behavior. And if you go back and watch my last video, I did have a caveat, and the caveat is this: when they're in the throes of emotion, they have to be in a very high emotional state for you to really get the truth. When people are calm and relaxed, you can't know for sure really what's going on. You just can't, because they have their guards up, they're being poised, and they're in control. So they can, and that's the reason why I'm saying, when a man is in his masculine core, he doesn't easily let the whole world know where he's coming from, because it's really fucking none of their business. So, but women, they're not that way, and that's why women need a male companion. They need a covering, someone to, in a healthy sense, they do. Okay, someone who will, they call it contrapposto in Italian, which, you know, the offset, okay, offset their weakness, okay, their weaknesses, and it's by divine design. That's the way that our Creator made it, and it's observable. It's not even just observable in the human kingdom; it's observable in the animal kingdom too. In most cases, especially with in mammals, it's observable. What else do I want to tell you? When you start watching women's behavior when they're in control, pay attention to that more so than what they say. See, whenever they're in a relaxed state, watch what they do. Whenever you guys are happy and you ask her to do something, you make a request or a demand of her, watch how she responds. Is she submissive? Is she respectful? Is she loving and kind genuinely? Or does she do things like have sarcasm? See, the word sarcasm means ripping the flesh. If there's sarcasm with the woman you're involved with, there's an undercurrent of aggression towards you. Now, I'm not talking about whenever there's a playful banter. I'm talking about whenever you have sweet moments and whatnot. If she starts to cut in on you, pay attention to that. If she laughs whenever you're bleeding, pay attention to that. If she says she's going to do one thing and then she does another, pay attention to that. Watch her actions. And then sit back and think about little times when she was usually cloaking her genuine intentions with a joke, with humor, with sarcasm. Women will tell you what they're going to do with sarcasm, with humor, because it's a very calm state. They're in control. And then they'll do something different. When they're in the throes of emotion, they're more likely to tell you the truth. So start to learn to watch how all these pieces work together like cogs in a wheel. It's an elaborate construction, us human beings, males and females. And it's very vital for if you want to have a successful life, is to begin to understand these nuances. But more important than anything is to understand yourself. Until you understand yourself, how you are designed to behave and to perform and to be and to interact, you're out of order. You ever walk up to a machine and it says out of order? That's what you are whenever you're not operating according to the way you were designed. Frank, I'm just being real with you. You have body parts that create certain things. I mean, literally, men can create, they have semen, men have testosterone, men have the X and the Y chromosome. Men have things that women don't have, and women have things that men don't have. And we need to cherish that. We need to be happy with the way we were created. And if there's something in us that makes us not like that, we need to question that. But that's just me. That's what I'm suggesting to you. So be a man of observation. Pay attention to the little subtle things. Whenever it comes to this is straight male talk here, but when it comes to homosexuals, we should have a gaydar, as it were. The gay community made up that term. And what that basically means is you should be sensitive enough in your own masculine core to be able to sense the effeminate in another male. Now, yes, straight men can have some feminine qualities, but they should not be effeminate. They should not have so many feminine characteristics that you're not sure about their sexual orientation. And that's not to be hostile towards gay people, because a lot of them arrive there because of circumstances that were beyond their own understanding and because of the times that we live in. So I have the utmost empathy for a lot of gay men, because way more of them than you might imagine are struggling with their lifestyle. But they have a community now to support them, so it makes it very difficult for them to come out. Now, I know that's a very sensitive topic, and Frank, I'm not here to argue with people who are homosexual. Live however you want to live. I'm here for men. I'm here to encourage men to enhance their masculinity. If you stumbled upon this channel and you're offended by that, it's like you walking into a horse stable looking for dogs. That just doesn't make sense. You might just want to change the channel. And with that, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you got something out of this video. I'm starting to do life coaching. Get at me while it's affordable. No, I'm just joking. Get at me, though. You can check out down below for the email address, heymarreta@gmail.com. I'll put it here on the screen. And with that, much love, my mens. Stay strong. Get in that weight room. Grind. Always, always, always be a man.